Okay everybody, today we want to do a bit of a review. I ordered a crypto steel and I ordered a Billfodl. I already have this one here and I'm quite happy with it. I bought this one as a test and I wanted to show you, this is kind of like an unboxing as well as a video to show you how people store their seed phrases, because they have to be safe. Of course, a piece of paper is enough just to remember the words, and I would say it depends on how many keys you actually have and how much money is in each wallet that makes it, or I would say you have to have a safer way to store these words. I've prepared a few words and I want to talk about this for a minute before we open this box here, because I'm not sure if everybody is actually aware of how this really works. And I just see that there's a word missing, so I'm just gonna write something in. This is not really important. Just so you know, there are 2048 words and you can actually Google them and look them up. If you search something like mnemonic phrase 2048 words or something, then it spits out a list in alphabetical order. And what is very important, and that's why I'm going to show you this here, is that as you can see, this one I'm not sure if it's on it because I just made it up, but the others are actually on the list. So this might be a real seed phrase. It's not mine, but if you put it into MetaMask or actually a Ledger or something, it might spit out an address. It's probably going to spit out an address. The way this actually works is that your seed phrase is not really protecting your wallet, but because of 2048 different words in 12 or 18 or 24 different positions, it spits out so many different combinations that it's almost impossible to guess the right one. I mean, I heard there are people out there that see this as a kind of mining project and they're trying to guess people's addresses, or actually the keys for the address. Because of the cryptographic way, there is no way to derive the seed phrase or the 24 words based on the address itself. It only works one way. So the words spit out the address, but technically that address already exists. If you go to MetaMask and you put in 12 words, it might show you a wallet address that is probably empty because there are just so many of them. Now, what is important for these, basically they are both different solutions for the same problem, which means they are stainless steel. They're supposed to protect you from fire, right? If there's a flood, of course, this is better than paper. But if there's a fire, I mean, there's some videos that you can look at. That Billfodl thing apparently can withstand over 1,000 degrees or something, but I don't know. Again, also, I'm not sponsored by any of this. I just thought I'd share it. If you want to ask what is the cheapest way of backing up your seed phrase with one of these stainless steel thingies, it's probably easiest to buy a Dremel and to buy a piece of stainless steel and then just to engrave it yourself. Don't get the idea of bringing a list of words to an engraver, because that's not going to work out well for you. And there are other solutions. Before I open this, there's one solution I found online where you get a kind of stamp. You get an alphabetical stamp and a hammer, and then you have to place them in the right order, and then you hammer, or basically hammer, an indentation of letters into a steel plate. But I don't really like it because I've seen some videos where people explained, if you take imagine the stamp and you put it on the metal and you hit it once and it kind of jumps and it gives you one or two different indentations, and then you have to do it again and cover it right and then hide it again. Also, some people, you know, they don't really have the facilities to do this kind of thing. If you live in an apartment building, you don't want to go on your balcony and hammer around, or in your living room. But again, are there cheaper ways to do this? Definitely there are. Buy a Dremel or something. Also, I've seen makeshift ways of making this one. We talk about this in a second. But first of all, I want to talk about what you're actually backing up. And let me open the first one, the Billfodl. So what you get with this thing is I hope you can see it. I'm trying to do this properly. This is the cassette, I want to say, and you can slide it open. There is also this kind of blocking mechanism here where you have to use a screwdriver. Let me get it out. You have 12 different words. We talk about the words in a minute. First of all, you can lock it up here, but when you unlock it, you also have to slide down something down here. Well, let me try this way. This way, to actually open it. And this is actually, you just saw how difficult that was, quote unquote, for me to do. This thing will not accidentally open. And if you have it closed and actually slit closed and maybe put a padlock through here, you can heat this thing up. And some people talked about this warping, but I can break these two apart. There's a bit of wiggle room here, but I don't think that the letters will just spray out. So we have two of these, and let me see. Sorry, this is kind of like learning by doing, to be honest. Actually, this is a newer version. I have one of the older versions that I already use, and it didn't have that screw, I believe. And this is much sturdier and safer. And maybe you can see this here, the gap to add the letters. The letters are way bigger than that little opening. Now on the other side here, you have the letters. And you can take out this plate. And this is one use only, and then you can throw them away, right? So you can do it fairly prettily. You can use big letters and you can small letters. The first one I bought came in a kind of cassette, and they all had like little boxes with lids. Maybe this is easier. This is already stamped out, so I can actually go along and pull out this letter by hand, and then I can slide it in here. And once it's slid inside, then there's no way this is gonna come out. So I like this system. And I think that, now you might ask, sorry, I'm kind of jumping around. I'm not very good at speaking, and I'm trying to make this up as I go along. I hope you enjoy the video anyway, and I know this might not be the best video for this case, but I thought I should try. So what you're actually backing up is not the full word. You don't have to back up the full word. You only have to back up the first 4 digits, or the first 4 letter, because C-O-N-D for conduct, in the list of 2048 words, there is only one word with 4 letters that has C-O-N-D in it. So you can basically take your 24 words and make a line after every 4. Now, there are 3-letter words like web. Web is a 3-letter word, and toe is a 3-letter word. There are also 4-letter words such as much. And if you look here, there are some lines, and on the back side here, for the number side, there are also spaces. So you could basically slide in C-O-N-D, and because of the 4-letter part where this kind of, it looks like a bit of an arrow, that's where the first word would finish, then the second word, and the third word. Of course, I should start over here. Sorry about that. But I like the Billfodl more for 24 words because it looks cleaner, it's easier to see, it's easier to follow, and you can just take your list, write down the words completely. What I've actually done with mine, because you should always have more than one nano. buy a second one, just buy a spare one. You can put the same keys on 2 different nano ledgers and then put them somewhere in different places. Put one in a bank vault or something like this. I actually had a nano ledger break on me before, but I blamed the humidity in Japan. The screen, the old screen, it didn't, like, that's how it started. It didn't display all the pixels anymore. And then I just kind of gave up. You could still guess the numbers when you put it in, but even getting to the right app. So basically the display died on me, and then I just trashed the damn thing. So what I would suggest is that you take your words, you put it on a nano ledger, you see that the words work, then you transfer them on this by only using the first 4, and then you can actually do 2 things. You can put the second nano ledger and use the Billfodl to put in the 24 words, or you move all your funds to an exchange and you delete your nano ledger. Some people don't know, but it's actually quite easy. If you put in the pin 3 times wrong, then it basically resets it to the factory default, and then you can just input it again. But there are several different ways. Of course, you kind of have to already put the words in twice when you set up a ledger, but you know, better safe than sorry. So this is the first system, and I think it's not a bad system. There are others that look like this, where you can hammer in the words, like I said before, but I like this system. It's really sturdy, and there are different slides of stainless steel metal, and I'm not going to use a torch. I think the weakest part is that little hinge here, because I can probably bend this and break this apart, but by sliding this close, putting a padlock through it, right? I've also seen people that put a ring through it and then they weld it shut, and that at least you know if someone looked at it, if it's broken, right? Like if you put it somewhere. But of course you can keep paper versions in your safe, and this is just like a backup. This is basically what it is. And I bought a new thing that I have not actually looked at myself other than YouTube videos, but I bought this and I wanted to share this with you. And the crypto steel is actually, this is the second version, and the first version looks very similar to the Billfodl, but they kind of developed a new system, and you can see the letters are already on the plate here as well. And here we go, there it is. So yes, this is practically the finished product, and you can see here, you can unscrew this and it comes with a pin. It says, what does it say on it? Remember to put your fastener. Yes, I saw this in the video. So what this basically is, is a box full of letters. For example, this one is an H, and there's a small H on the other side. Maybe you can see it. And what you do with this seed phrase, let me use one of them. You do the same thing again, but this is a bit more of an elegant version if you want to spell the full letters. Now, if you decide to spell all 24 words, this thing is not big enough or not long enough. So you have to revert to only using the first 4, same as with the Billfodl. But if you have 12, which MetaMask usually comes with, then you can use this and spell out the full words. So what you would basically do is take all your letters, and let me jump ahead and find the right letters. You probably saw that I didn't do this very quickly, but let me show you the words. Let me show you the letters very quickly. C-O-N-D-U-C-T for conduct. And I could probably do this very nicely and start with house and put it in the bottom so you can actually see it better. But let me do a few words. I've only done 3 words, and I think this is enough. And here is this is the fastener that they talked about, and the way the fastener works, you can see it here again. Down here you have to bend it over. Probably gonna break one, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more. So you slide it in like this, and when you get to the bottom you just bend it upwards, and that's the fastener. So this is not coming off. You have to like really torture it. I just saw here it's probably better to do it the other way around, but this is actually still safe enough. Now I decided 2 things. First of all, I decided to do everything in capital letters, and I also decided to only do 3, but the words I will show you: conduct, wheel, and hungry. I was thinking about a 12 seed phrase, and you can see there are the spaces in the middle. They have this little thingy here. So if I take the letter, this looks much more awkward than it actually was. So there's a Y, there's an R, there's a G, there's an N, and there's a U, and there is the H. So that one is hungry. And again, this, I believe this is way more sturdier than the other. This will probably withstand an earthquake because the capsule itself, it might be a bit awkward to set up, but once you have actually set it up, this thing will withstand pretty much everything. It's probably, this thing will survive a sledgehammer. It's like, I don't have a sledgehammer, but there are just some scrapes here, and there's no way you can even bend this. You can probably dent it with a hammer, but if you look at the underlying mechanism, it won't break the fastener, right? Like even these letters, if they are flattened out, it's like, honestly, I think this looks pretty sturdy. It looked very sturdy in the video, that's why I bought them. Now a bit of advice at the end here, because I think this is pretty much it. Think about where you buy these, because like, as you know, normally we say don't buy a ledger off Amazon because you don't know who's shipping them, but this kind of stuff is just metal, so you can basically look on Amazon. For example, Nano Ledger or Ledger Company has both of these systems on their website, and I bought this one on Amazon in Japan because this one is actually quite popular, and I think many people know about Billfodl, but this is fairly new. So I went to the manufacturer and I actually bought 5 of those. They sent me 2 double sets and they sent me 1 single set, and honestly the price was half, less than half, or compared to the Ledger website. I think this is like $130 or something, and I paid $345 including shipping to Japan for 5 of them. So this is actually pretty cheap, I think, all things considered. And that was 10,000 yen on Amazon, which is also like $85 or so in American. And yes, you don't really have to have them, but I wanted to have them because I also wanted to back up Omega Yield properly, and I'm planning on doing 2 for Omega Yield. I'm planning to do a 24-word phrase for New Ledger that I bought also if we want to hold certain coins like XRP or I don't know, buy Ethereum or Bitcoin or something like that. Of course, you can keep it on MetaMask, but I think a ledger is better with 24 words, even though you can have a 24-word ledger for MetaMask. But I guess there's less exposure if you don't log into MetaMask with all kinds of different websites. And having the same keys for your Bitcoin wallet is probably not a good idea. So that's why I bought them. So that's what the Billfodl is for, because I think this system is a bit better for 24 words, but the CryptoSteel might be a good idea because you can spell the words out completely. I actually recently did a kind of archiving and bought a nice notebook to write all my keywords and all this stuff. You know, I have 13 sets of keys right now, and I have 2 Billfodl and 5 CryptoSteel now, and I'm using 6 ledgers, and then the other apps that also have keys. So it's kind of growing, right? You have to think about how much do you actually have on each wallet. Is it worth backing up, and is it worth spending $85, $90 or $100 on something like this? Now, what I mentioned before, there are DIY versions of this where there are videos on YouTube that you can look at, and the thing is that they don't really have this, or they use a pipe to put it in the pipe, and then you take like a 10M bolt, like a really long one, and you buy washers, and then they engrave the washers with the letters, and then you slide the letters on top, and then you put a nut on the end. And you know, you have these nuts with a kind of rubber inside, they don't fall out very easily, and then they put it in the pipe. So they're like, oh, I made this on DIY for, I don't know, $20. I don't need to buy one for $80. But to be honest with you, I'd rather buy this for $80 and have it way smaller, right? Like, this is one thing someone pointed out in a video I watched, is like, if you see this and you have something written out which you can slide open, it might be easier to identify what this is. But this, if you have someone who has no idea about crypto, they won't even know. Like, if you hide these somewhere, and you can actually buy this pipe in black as an extra accessory, but I didn't bother with it. You can close this, and you can, like, I don't know, drill a hole in your wall and stick it in the drywall, and then put a poster on top. Something like this, you know. These should be hidden. The ledger Nano, you put in your drawer in your desk, because someone needs to have a pin anyway to access it. The paper you put in your safe, and you can easily access it. Maybe you lose your ledger, or it breaks, or your dog eats it, and then you have one of these or one of these to really back up your seed phrase if you have like 4, 5, 6, 7 figures on it. And honestly speaking, like what I mentioned before about having so much money on the same wallet, after like 6 figures, I usually, you know, think about the next address and the next address, move some coins over. Also, don't buy the same stable coin, you know, things like these. Diversify. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is something else, something different. I haven't done one of these in a long time. Usually for my old channel, I've done some of these talking videos. But yeah, you know, I kind of start to ramble on once I get started. But I hope you enjoyed it. And I see you guys on the next one. And yeah, let me know in the comments, let me know on Discord what you thought about it, and if I should do more stuff like this. And yeah, see you on the next one. Goodbye.